But the cramped conditions mean that after nearly 3 weeks, the communal spirit is fraying.
We are dissatisfied with the authorities. We know there are temporary houses that will be put up, but who will get them? Some areas are being favoured over others.
There you go.
The government admits that not a single temporary house has been constructed so far.
Not
Even
one.
when they do finally go up, they won't solve the far greater problem. The government excavators are removing the rubble as fast as they can. But for the victims of the disaster, even those lucky enough to get the temporary housing, it will be years before they can come here, rebuild the house and call it their home. Many of the stricken Japanese coastal towns relied for generations on dwindling fishing and shipping industries, livelihoods which no longer exist, and there is little hope of ever getting them back.
The government is good at solving big problems, but not the ones of the small people. I do not think this town will ever be rebuilt as it was. Even if I restore what I have, no one will build anything next to my house.
For the government, providing food and temporary shelter was the relatively straightforward part in helping victims cope with the disaster. Making sure people have a place and a community to return to will be much more difficult. Igor Gorodnev, RT, Tohoku, Japan.
Well, thank RT. That's Russia Television, the former Russia Television. That's right. RT.
Right.
Thank them for that piece. Wow. See what I'm saying, Vic? They got to move wholesale groups of people.
Right. Housing, okay.
Huge groups.
Why is it okay with what they call smaller land mass and less geography to actually move people around? How come this is not
California?
How come this is not been raised as it relates to the Haitian crisis? Because it was not as
those are poor folks,
right? So they're in a position where they're
poor
close
folks, and their government can't even afford to pay.
So
Japan has a deep pocket,
right?
So Japan can pay,
right?
So but that's the whole thing. That does make a difference.
It does.
And so and let's face it, that is our own prejudices that we have against certain third world kind of countries.
Yeah.
As opposed to Japan.
Right. Because the death toll in Haitian crisis, what is it? Somewhere hundreds of thousands or something like that? Or I don't want to blow it out. It's more than 20,000. I know that much. It was just devastating.
We need to get that.
It's a lot.
We can get that. Get our intern.
I know. I just, the whole part is that I can't help but to look at it. It says, well, it's different. The way they're, it was a poorish country. They lived in poorish conditions, and so there's no reallocation effort by the government, and basically the only reallocation is going to be find your place somewhere else. Maybe you'll have some temp situations set up, but it'll be for maybe 50,000, 100,000 at most. So
let's see. What was the total?
Yeah, total
death.
I thought it was quite high, but maybe it's
Haitian
earthquake.
Haiti earthquake. Here it comes up as a Google search.
Yeah.
They're thinking it's going to hit 200,000.
That's what I was going to say, 200, but I didn't want to get out there ahead of myself.
200,000.
Which is...
Some people say BBC News reported that it was 230,000.
The last report I heard, it was actually 215. But,
Okay, that's what they're trying to talk about, what could be verified.
Right.
Yeah, BBC on February 11th said could be 230, but they have verified more than 217.
Right.
Wow.
See, and it's just and not taking away from the Japan crisis. It's teaching us a level. It's just teaching us a lesson that's different than the Haitian thing. The Haitian thing is it's really about the people kind of gathering themselves up. The land is still there, still good. We're talking about an area that's going to be decimated far as the land and can't be recoverable for a long, long time, generation. Would you trust 50 years from now to go replot yourself on that piece of land or your children on that piece of land?
Oh, no.
See what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So it has these other ramifications that jump in that hit you for various reasons. But the death toll and the Haitian earthquake was just ridiculous, man.
Well, the ongoing sagas. Well, take a look at this. This wonderful piece of...
It's an airstrip.
That is a floating island that's considering to be used as a storage site for radioactive water.
Yeah.
Wow, take a look at this.
Yeah.
Now, according to what we're hearing, how much of you can believe.
Yeah.
this piece could be considered as one of the ways to store tainted water from the basements of the Fukushima plant. Let's take a listen to what they have to say, Vic.
More news before that. Workers at Japan's stricken Fukushima nuclear power plant are battling to seal a crack in a reactor that's leaking radioactive water into the Pacific. Contaminated seawater in the area has shown radiation levels 4,000 times the legal limit. Japanese officials have told the plant's operator to examine the facility for other potential leaks. Meantime, Japan's Prime Minister has visited the tsunami-ravaged villages in the northeast of the country for the first time.
That's the quick piece, the piece that we did yesterday, the 28-second piece. Okay. That you know, they probably got another piece up there. But I'm looking at this, you know, and I actually went to look at it even after our broadcast. It's interesting, the story on this, man. I would love to know the detail of how this is going to progress. But I mean, you know.
Well, we'll find out more. Come here tomorrow. We'll give you an update. Also, tomorrow we're going to talk about the Japan Prime Minister and how he's responding to criticism of his disaster handling. And also we'll talk a little bit about the U.S. company that's looking for workers. Any of you want to go over there?
Aren't they part of the development of the...
Get some benefits. Some of you might want to just send your sort of loved ones.
But you know somebody's going over there, right?
Oh, yeah, they're going to go.
Yeah, you know, it's...
Oh, they're going to go.
If journalists can go in the middle of a crisis in a war, even though that they're not totally immune, and it's a journalist going... So you know there's some bad cats out there saying, hey, look, man, I know the worst is over. I know where to go. I got this covered. You know, it's a couple of them. It's like going camping on the Iraq and Syrian border. You know, I can go camping here. No one's going to kidnap me. And then all of a sudden, they arrest you. So
hey, that's why I'm not there. I'm here, where the good old regular police abuse by LAPD looks so much better.
It pales in comparison, right?
I guess. Well, you know what? There's a bunch of stuff going on. As you can see, a lot of dissatisfied folks. But now let's deal with the Middle East. And impressions of the U.S., you guys. That's what we've been dealing with. You know, so much. If you watch CNN, you know, you get the impression. You know, it's just the way they try to put the spin on it. Well, how are Americans really being viewed? Do other people think we have a hidden agenda? Do other folks think it's about the oil? Well, hell yeah, they think it's about the oil. Mm-hmm. I went and got a couple of pieces that we're going to take a look at. And they basically deal with perception and how U.S. is selling this through media. And also, the second one is going to deal with an alleged long-time affair between MSNBC and America's wars. First of all, let's deal with this first one. Libya on fire. Who's next? Again, from Russia Television.
Over the oil-rich Libyan coastline continues. The U.S. steps back from its leading role in the operation. Washington has encouraged other NATO countries to increase their military contribution with a coalition campaign in its third week. RT's Ganesh Chikhan looks at how Libya could just be the start of Washington's wider goals in the region.
As waves of public rage sweep through North Africa and the Middle East, world powers jump on them, as many analysts say, in an attempt to direct the waves of unrest in a way that's most favorable for them. In Libya, forging relationship with the opposition so that if Gaddafi goes, there are people there to do business with. As Syria popular wrath gathers steam, some experts say Western powers might see the advantages of getting involved there too.
These three countries, Iran, Syria, and Libya, are the main countries that will not align themselves automatically to the global power elites or the Western powers' interests and objectives in North Africa and in the Middle East. As, for example, Egypt will do, or used to do with Hosni Mubarak, and definitely Kuwait and Saudi Arabia.
Syria is Iran's closest ally in the region, and the calls to support the revolt in Syria often come with mentions of Iran.
Syria is obviously a strategic ally for Iran in the region, and without Syria, Iran loses their bridge, their land bridge to Lebanon and their Hezbollah forces. So, of course, Hezbollah would suffer if the Syrian regime was to fall, and that would destabilize Iran and weaken its power in the region, which would be an obvious benefit to the Anglo-American forces.
Some experts even believe that destabilization is part of a strategy the West pursues in the region.
We are seeing reflected a strategy which includes, amongst other points, the generalized weakening of the sovereign nation states and the sovereign regimes in the Arab world in order to try to isolate Iran, leave it with very few, perhaps no, friendly countries in the region, and that will then leave Iran pretty much alone, at least in the Arab world, and would facilitate further turmoil inside Iran.
Although the U.S. Secretary of State has ruled out America's involvement in Syria for now, the country's defense secretary called for the Syrian army to, quote, empower a revolution and follow the example of Egypt's military.
Syria and Iran are on America's list. At some point, they will rise to the head of the queue, just the way Libya did.
Many say Iran, though, would be a tough call. And no matter how much Washington would want the regime there to fall, for now, it's seen as a mission impossible.
I'm sure that there are some in the U.S. who would love to attack Iran, and there are others who would like to take over the Iranian opposition. I think they know that the Iranian opposition is not so fond of the United States. They have a long memory in Iran. People remember the role of the United States in overthrowing the precursor to the Shah of Iran, overthrowing the democratically elected government of Mossadegh back in 1953. So I don't think the U.S. would be welcomed. And I think many in Washington know that.
With Libya being torn apart by the war and anti-government protests gaining momentum in Syria, the question on everyone's mind is who might be next? I'm Ganesh Chekyan reporting from Washington, RT.
Well, who might be next? This is a conspiracy.
You know.
They talk about it's a conspiracy, Vic.
Yeah, and here's my... Okay. If we can keep up with all the... Let's just say there's no wars. There's conspiracy whenever there is happy time, right?
There's conspiracy because it's all about the money.
Money. And the money flows.
And what we consider to be happy time is relative.
Right. And I'm going... isn't it even far worse, the conspiracy, when profiteering is at its height and there's no war and there's no civil unrest?
Well, there you go. The idea is that you just try to pacify the people with periods where you spread a little bit of the crumbs around.
Right.
And they call that the prosperous time. They love it. They dream of it. They call it the good old days. I remember the good old days.
That's wrong.
We used to be able to say whatever we wanted to women on the street. Whistle at them. See, there's people think like that. Somebody's good old days are usually somebody else's old jacked up old days.
That's right. That's right. That's why it's happy time.
Like, I remember when black folks were scared of us. So some people want to go back to that.
Yes.
I want to go back to slaves. Some people want to go with women was, did what they were told.
Oh, I can take you even further.
I want to go back when children did what they were told.
Oh, we got one. Hey, let's go back to the days of people like myself, you, Mario, men who could sit back and run rampant saying, oh, I'm honorable. I only have one girlfriend. The rest are associates.
That's right. We used to be able to cheat before AIDS. You could just have why it was love the one you. It was a sexual revolution. See, that's what I'm saying. Man, they invented the pill, banned the bra.
Right.
And man.
Right.
Lord.
Used to be take the red pill or the blue pill. Now they just say take a pill.
Well, some things they say don't change, Vic.
Right.
And one of the things that's part of the conspiracies that we hear is that the U.S. media always supports the U.S. in war.
Right.
Even the so-called liberal U.S. media. Let's see what's behind that.
Here we go with some good news.
Egyptian protesters.
News pundits are teleporting almost at the speed of light, from the safety of their news desks to far away and dangerous places.
Sirens are now going off.
Led by their journalistic callings and big bucks to be made and spent. Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, in a whirlpool of chaos. Japan in a tremor of tsunami and earthquakes.
I want to err on the side of caution for you here.
Disasters exploding around the world.